it's a very different book from the 12, I think. In that sense of just I think the background to everything that's happened is explained more and more in this book. Did you find it a different book or a more difficult book to write than the 12?
It was completely different. The 12 was written very, very quickly. It was about 10 weeks for the first draft, simply because it came out in like one big gush. Late nights just ploughing word after word after word. But with this book, it took a year to write. My only explanation, and I think other writers I've spoken to have felt the same thing, it's a very different experience to write under contract. And when you're obliged to write as opposed to writing out of hope. When you're writing your first novel, when you're not published, you're just bashing away, thinking that nobody's ever going to read this. There's maybe more freedom to it. But when there's a contract in place, and you know that, in my case, my agent is going to be the first person to read it, then my editor's going to read it, so I've got to keep them happy, then the readers are going to get it, and the critics are going to get it, and it's every single word then entails a great deal more effort.
But having said that, with the 12, was there not? Did that process not happen as well when you submitted it to your agent? And he sort of, I'm assuming that he may have come back to you, knowing your agent, and said, I think you should change this or you should do that. Was that process different with this book?
There was actually probably less of it this time. I should explain, I have an agent, a gentleman called Nat Sobel, based in New York, who, if you ask him, he would consider himself my editor as well as my agent, but he works with all his authors, including James Ellroy, in a very hands-on way. And with the 12, there were more sort of changes under his guidance than with this book, but possibly because with this book I kept thinking of what I'd learned from that in the first book. So I was kind of already applying it to sort of pare down when I needed to, not distract from the story, that kind of thing. Just kind of practical points that a more objective, experienced eye can help you with.